Welcome to SATV News. This is Dushamin with our headlines. Those seeking votes with the symbol of scales oppose independence in 1971, says Mirza Fakhrul. NCP's allegation against Tariq Rahman falls, says Rizvi. Youth vote must be reflected in elections, says Jamaat-e-Islami chief. Not even an inch of country's honor will be mortgaged to anyone. Polls may be questioned if election commission fails to act firmly, says Bodiul Alam Majumdar. Now in details. BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir today said those seeking votes with the symbol of scale had opposed Bangladesh's independence and played a negative role during the Liberation War in 1971. Addressing an election rally in Thakurga, he also said the anti-independence forces were responsible for widespread displacement and looting during the war. At the same time, Mirza Fakhrul said that if BNP comes to power, peace and security would be ensured across the country and fear among minority communities will be removed. Besides, he added that BNP and its leaders had never fled the country and would not do so in the future, stressing their commitment to establishing people's rights. Stating that fear and uncertainty persist among minority communities, he further said many Hindus worry about being harmed for supporting alternative political choices. Calling on voters to support the BNP, Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir urged them to vote for the sheaf of rice symbol in the upcoming election, saying it was an opportunity to strengthen forces that stand for independence, welfare and law and order. Meanwhile, BNP Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kabir Rizvi has rejected allegation by the National Citizen Party that BNP Chairperson Tariq Rahman violated the Election Code of Conduct, describing the claims as false and part of a hyper-propaganda campaign. He made the remarks today while speaking to journalists after visiting the grave of the late Arafat Rahman Koko in the capital's Banani area to mark his death anniversary. Mr. Rizvi also said Arafat Rahman has died as a result of physical and psychological torture during the period of 111 regime and the Awami League government. Besides, he said that Tariq Rahman had postponed his tour of northern Bangladesh at the request of the Election Commission and later conducted campaign activities strictly in line with the Commission's rule. He further claimed that political opponents jealous of Tariq Rahman's leadership and speeches are now trying to mislead the public by spreading confusion. Nahid Islam, convener of the National Citizen Party and a 10-party alliance nominee backed by Jamaat for the Dhaka 11 constituency, said today that an environment conducive to voting has emerged in the country after a long time. He made the remark before beginning his electioneering in Notun Bazar Bhatara area, expressing hope that voters would be able to go to polling centers without fear and exercise their franchise freely. After 16 long years, an election is being held in which people have the opportunity to exercise their voting rights, Nahid said, urging voters to take part in the polls. He also alleged that BNP has violated the Electoral Code of Conduct by attempting to buy voters through family cards. Stressing the importance of a fair election scheduled for February 12, he instructed party activists to remain vigilant at polling centers to protect the voting process. Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami Amir Shafiqur Rahman has visited the grave of martyr Abu Said, who was killed during the 2024 anti-discrimination student movement. While visiting Abu Said's grave at Bahanpur Jafarpara in Pirganj Upazila of Rangpur this morning, he said that the votes of young people must be reflected in the upcoming election. After visiting the grave, Shafiqur Rahman spoke with members of Abu Said's family. He paid tribute to Abu Said's sacrifice and bravery and expressed condolences to the bereaved family. At the time, Shafiqur Rahman said, not even an inch of the country's honor will be mortgaged to anyone, calling on the youth to prepare for achieving the desired outcome in the upcoming election. সুশাসনের জন্য নাগরিক সুজন Secretary Bodiul Alam Mujumdar has questioned the Election Commission's leniency in the case of many candidates in the 13th parliamentary election and described growing intolerance and violent tendencies in political conduct as alarming. Bodiul Alam Mujumdar said the Election Commission must take firm action immediately, otherwise the election could become questionable. He made these remarks during a press conference organized by Sujon at the Shagoruni Auditorium of the Dhaka Reporters Unity today. Sujon organized the press conference titled The 13th Parliamentary Election and Referendum 2026, the role of stakeholders ensuring a fair election. Bodiul Alam Mujumdar said he had recently held exchanges of views with members of civil society, the media and people from various walks of life across 7 divisions and several districts, and that this observation came from those discussions. The Sujon Secretary said if the Election Commission does not strictly enforce the law now and fails to curb intolerance and violence, this election will also inevitably be controversial. A top terrorist identified as Dilip, also known as Binash, ordered the killing of Jatiyotawadi Sheshasebok Dal leader Azizur Rahman alias Musabbir from abroad. DMP Additional Commissioner and DV Chief MD Shafiqul Islam made the disclosure at a press conference held at the DMP Media Center on Mintu Road this morning. According to the DB, Musabbir was shot dead by 2 hired gunmen, Jinat and Abdur Rahim, in exchange for money. Both were captured on CCTV footage at the scene. Jinnat was arrested earlier, while Rahim was arrested early Friday morning from Mahabdi police station area of Noshindi district following a raid conducted on the basis of secret information. During the arrest, police recovered 2 foreign-made pistols, 2 magazines and 12 rounds of bullets used in the murder. A case under the Arms Act has been filed against Rahim with Mahabdi police station. One of the arrested accused has also confessed to the involvement in the killing, DV officials said. Police further stated that Binash maintains links with the arrested suspect. So far, 5 people have been arrested in connection with the murder. We are taking a short break. Please stay with us.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় SA পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর SA পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। SA পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900।
Welcome back. You're watching SATV News. Now news from abroad. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said there were signs that Israel was seeking an opportunity to attack Iran, warning such a move could further destabilize the region. Fidan made the remark during an interview with the Turkish broadcaster NTV on Friday. Asked specifically whether this assessment applied to both the United States and Israel, Fidan stated that Israel in particular was seeking such an opportunity. The foreign minister added that he had conveyed concern directly to Iranian officials during a recent visit to the country. Fidan's warning followed after Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told his Iranian counterpart Masoud Pezeshkian in a phone call on Thursday that Turkey was opposed to any foreign intervention in Iran and that it valued its neighbors' peace and stability. Meanwhile, a Turkish court on Friday rejected a lawsuit from jail Istanbul Mayor İlkem İmakgulu, challenging the cancellation of his university degree in a further blow to his plans to run for the presidency in the next election. İmamoğlu, who is President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's main political rival, has been in jail since last month, pending trial on corruption charges. He had received a separate prison sentence in July for insulting and threatening the city's chief prosecutor. Without a university degree, İmamoğlu cannot stand as a candidate for president. According to his legal team, İmamoğlu would appeal against Friday's court ruling. İmamoğlu himself has denied all accusation against him, saying they are politically motivated. Russia attacked Ukraine's two largest cities, Kharkiv and Kyiv, early on Saturday, officials said, with one person killed and at least 15 injured. Ukraine's Air Force said both drones and missiles have been deployed in the assault on the capital. In Kharkiv, 25 drones had hit several districts over 2 to 1.5 hours, with at least 11 people injured. Writing on Telegraph, Mayor Terekov said the drones had struck a dormitory for displaced people, a hospital and a maternity hospital. The latest attacks occurred after negotiators from Ukraine, Russia and the United States completed the first of 2 days of talks in the United Arab Emirates aimed at
বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো ৮০টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল এন্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস আপনার সেবা।
Second day of the US-backed Ukraine-Russia talks on territorial issues got underway in Abu Dhabi on Saturday as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for air defense supplies after Russia's large overnight attack. Russian strike on Ukrainian energy facilities showed that agreements on air defense made with US President Donald Trump in Davos this week must be fully implemented, said Zelensky on Saturday. Nearly 6,000 buildings in Kyiv were left without heat. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said as the temperature in Ukraine's capital city was at minus 12 degrees Celsius on Saturday morning. Earlier, Zelensky said the territorial dispute was a central issue for the tripartite talks, including Russia, Ukrainian and US officials, which were scheduled to conclude on Saturday. US President Donald Trump's comments that NATO troops stayed off the front line in Afghanistan were insulting and frankly appalling, said British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Friday. While speaking to reporters, the British Prime Minister also said he was not surprised that they have caused such hurt for the loved ones of those who were killed or injured. Veterans from across Europe hit back at US President Donald Trump's suggestions that they had stayed a little off the front lines in Afghanistan, saying that on Friday that hundreds of their comrades had died fighting alongside American forces. Trump told Fox News on Thursday the United States had never needed the transatlantic alliance and accused allies of staying a little off the front lines in Afghanistan. Bulgaria's President Rumen Radev stepped down on Friday after the Constitutional Court approved his resignation amid widespread speculation that he plans to launch his own political party to run in a looming parliamentary election. Radev, whose mandate had been due to expire next January, handed over his duties as head of state in a short ceremony to his vice president Elena Yutovo, who becomes the first female president of EU and NATO member state. Radev has long been expected to form his own party with the aim of restoring stability and fighting graft in one of the European Union's poorest and most corrupt countries, which joined the euro on January 1st. However, Radev has not yet directly confirmed his intentions. Ecuador's Foreign Minister Gabriel Sommerfield on Friday said a 30% security tax on Colombia was to cover costs amid an escalating spat over trade and the fight against drug trafficking. Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa and Foreign Minister Sommerfield were traveling in Europe after his attendance to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and met with European Parliament President Roberta Metsola this Friday. Noboa announced on Wednesday that Ecuador will impose a 30% security charge on goods from Colombia on February 1st, citing a trade deficit and a lack of cooperation on fighting drug trafficking. The foreign minister also mentioned efforts of both countries to meet for a dialogue on the tariffs, adding that Ecuador will insist on its position on this very important issue. China has decided to open an investigation into senior military officials Zhang Yuzhia and Liu Zhenli for suspected serious violation of discipline and law, confirmed China's Ministry of National Defense on Saturday. Zhang is a member of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee and Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission, while Liu is Chief of Staff of the CMC Joint Staff Department, according to the ministry. Zhang is seen as President Xi Jinping's closest military ally and one of the just few leading officers with combat experience. He is one of the two vice chairmen of the CMC, China's Supreme Armed Forces Command Organization. The military was one of the main targets of a broad corruption crackdown ordered by Xi in 2012. That drive reached the upper levels of the military in 2023 when the rocket force was targeted. 8 top generals were expelled from the ruling Communist Party on graft charges in October 2025, including the country's number 2 general He Duingwang. He had served under Xi and alongside Zhang on the Central Military Commission. 2 former defense ministers were also purged from the party in recent years for corruption. 7 people died and 82 are still missing after a landslide hit in Indonesia's West Java province, said Indonesia's Disaster Mitigation Agency on Saturday. A local official said the landslide struck a village in West Badung region. Indonesia's weather agency had previously warned of extreme weather, including heavy rains in West Java province for a week from Friday, local outlets campus reported. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Friday said US President Donald Trump is attempting to create a new United Nations to be its sole owner following the launch of Trump's Board of Peace this week. Trump on Thursday launched his Board of Peace, originally envisaged to help and end the Gaza war, but which he now sees as having a wider role that Europe and some other fear will rival or undermine the United Nations. Trump, who will chair the board, has invited dozens of other world leaders to join in and sees the grouping addressing other global challenges beyond Gaza, though he does not intend it as a replacement for the United Nations, he has said. Before ending, we'll go to the headlines again. Those seeking votes with the symbol of scale oppose independence in 1971, says Mirza Fakhrul. NCP's allegation against Tariq Rahman false, says Rizvi. Youth vote must be reflected in elections, says Jamaat-e-Islami chief. Not even an inch of the country's honor will be mortgaged to anyone. Polls may be questioned if Election Commission fails to act firmly, says Bodiul Alam Majumdar. You're updated with our top stories so far here on SATV. And to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.